Okay, a quick video of what kit I take with me to do summits on the air activation, or go portable if you like. What I've got here is not set in stone. I'm not saying rush out and buy this, exactly what you see. There's plenty of videos online. Have a look. If you see something that you think might work for you, try it. If it works, stick with it. If you're not really sure, bin it. Try something else. Okay, so it's all down to you. Today I've done 70 odd SOTA activations, which might not be a great deal, but it's enough to know what I'm doing regarding radio gear and staying safe on the hills. Okay, so this is what I take. So I'll run through this in no particular order. I've got 3 rucksacks. This is the one I probably use the most. I've got one bigger than this, and I've just got a little rucksack. Perhaps I might just take a handheld with me and a drink, logbook and pen for a quick activation if I'm short of time. Perhaps I might cycle to the summit. I might get the mountain bike out and ride to a summit. Okay, so I've got a little rucksack, but this is the one that I use the most. In this rucksack, I've got a station for HF and a station for VHF. Right, so let's run through this, shall we? It's in no particular order. A handheld, very useful indeed. Perhaps you can monitor when you're on your ascent, on your descent of a summit. You might have a chat with through a local repeater, or maybe a simplex QSO bit of company. Say I've done 70 odd SOTA activations, most have been alone. And these things can keep you company. Perhaps you're on your way up a summit and you hear someone called CQ SOTA on say 145-500, and you follow them to the frequency of QSY2. You can chase the summit while you're on your ascent, or even better, if you're almost in the activation zone, wait till you get a little bit higher and call in for a summit to summit contact. You can listen to the local radio on these things, local radio station. I remember reading a report, but I can't remember who from. He were actually listening, using his handheld, they were listening to cricket, they were listening to a test match on the way up the summit. Another big bonus one of these things is, if you forget something for your main station, and I know people have done it, you might forget a cable, a microphone, a connector, there's something you might forget. One of these will bail you out. Hopefully you'll get the 4 contacts required to qualify the summit. Okay, so these really can be worth the weight in gold, these things. I've done it myself. I was on a summit, I using the 817 on VHF, and I used some batteries, some internal batteries for the 817 that really didn't appreciate the cold. It was -2 on the summit without the wind chill, and the batteries just weren't interested. So I used a handheld, and I got the contacts that I needed, and qualified the summit, so it wasn't a wasted journey. Okay, so it might be worth taking a handheld with you. Notice everything I've got in here fits in the rucksack, keeping the hands free. Perhaps you might have a scramble on your way to the summit. You might use walking poles, which I've recently started using and make a massive difference. You keep your hands free. So this side of the rucksack, This is a good little antenna. This is called a multifunction dipole. I believe it's a half wave for 2 meters. A bit of pipe and a bit of coax. It weighs very little and it works well. It's quite effective. Of course, what you can do with this is if you fasten it to a fence post, get it in the air, you can get tucked in behind a wall if it's windy, if it's a bit cold. Okay, so basically, let's say these work well. I do have SOTA beams SB270, which is a Yagi antenna. 3 elements on 2 meters, 6 elements on 70 centimeters, which really is good. Really good antenna. It's a shame that they don't make them now. But of course, you've got to rotate it. You've got to rotate the thing. You might have to carry a fishing pole. That's the antenna basically. These bits are just supports. Okay, see these work well. These will be a massive improvement on what you're using with your handheld, I guarantee it. So there you go. I could fasten that up in the air. Got the coax there, get tucked in behind a wall. I even use this with a handheld sometimes. So I've got the 817 on a Summit. I'm on 2 meter FM and I'm having a chat with the locals. And they say, hey Chris, there's a lift on 2 meters, have you tried SSB? Obviously you want to be vertical for FM, ideally. SSB, you can be vertical, but ideally you want to be horizontal, don't you? So if you get your stopwatches ready, done. There you are. We've got a horizontal dipole there for 2 meter SSB, rotatable of course. But good antenna that. I've had some fun with that. Works well. Right then, what do we have in here? HF antenna. A band of your choice. Now I use end-fed half-wave antennas. This one's for 20 meters. Okay, work very well for the weight that they are. Very light, quite useful. Can't remember the length of this. I use that with a counterpoise. I've got some tent pegs in there for pegging the ends down. The little matching unit I use, here we are, is just an end-fed tuner. This does 40 meters through to 10 meters. Very good. Now then, it weighs less than about 3 ounces. That weighs, that little matching unit. So it weighs very little. Don't know if the camera's picking up. You've got red and black on there. You've got red and black banana plugs on there, so you can't go wrong. Okay. So that's the HF antenna. I've got them for 40 meters. I've got them for 80 meters. I should really make one for 17 because I don't think there's a weekend goes by you don't turn your radio on and you get CQ contest. Love them or hate them. I don't mind them. It gives you a chance to stock up on your DXCCs, your IOTAs, whatever. They don't have the uses, but I know a lot of people don't like them, so I really should make one of those for 17 meters. So that's the antenna. We need to get it elevated as best we can. This fits in the rucksack. There we go. Fishing pole to support the antenna. Now if I remember, that fits in the rucksack. You've just seen me get that out of there, yeah? This is 20 inches closed up and it goes to 4.1 meters, 13.5 feet. Obviously if I can get that strapped up on a fence post and get it elevated, works well, weighs very little. Yeah, that's a nice bit of kit, is that? Fits in the rucksack as well. So that's the HF side of it. Battery. I sometimes use the internal battery, the 817, which is okay, but I use these. Perhaps I'm on a hill for a while. Perhaps I'm doing quite a few bands, quite a few modes, and I'm going to spend quite a bit of time up there. These last a while. 3.2 amp hour that. It's a sealed lead acid power pole little connector on top that I fit. I know it's heavy, and I know there's better batteries out there now, but these work well. These are pretty reliable, to be fair. Okay, so I use that to power the 817. You're going to need a little tub of spares there. Okay, just a tub. I've got all sorts in here. The Velcro straps that I use for either strapping up the HF antenna or the multifunction dipole. There's some pens in there. There's some spare tent pegs. There's a little bag of connectors, SMA to BNC. There's all sorts. There's 4 altogether in there. Perhaps I might want to use the multifunction dipole just with a handheld. So I'll just take the correct connector with me for that. I'll just open this quickly. Of course, you're going to need something to write on. You're going to need a book. Write down your details of the summit in there that you're going to. Write down the summit reference, write down the locator, the Worked All Britain Square maybe. Write down the trig point number, because you may get asked for it, so I always take the info with me, just in case. Dig in the bottom of here, and that's just about empty now. This is a food storage case that I got from the supermarket, and there's no movement in there whatsoever. Right, okay, that's brilliant. It's 2.4 litres that. It's the one with the rubber seal around the edges. Okay, 2.4 litres. In there, we've got the power cable with the power pole connectors that'll go from the battery to the 817. I've got the microphone. And I've got the 817 in its protective case. Okay. Fits in there perfectly. Absolutely spot on with the accessory, and there's no movement. This case has probably saved me a couple of times. I've fallen on a couple of summits, I've slipped over. It'll happen to you eventually. G-stroke NP009 Buckden Pike, I was descending, went through the gate. On the way down to Cray, I went through the gate, it was quite muddy, I slipped, I went on my backside. No damage to the radio. G-stroke SP002, I believe, Black Hill. Winter time, really frosty. The old stone flags. I thought I'd walk on the grass at the sides to give me a little bit more traction. Again, down I went with the right thumb. No damage to the radio. Okay, 2.4 litre. And that's just about it. I've got the handheld for VHF. I've got the 817 if I want to use that on VHF or a HF station. So basically that's what I take with me. So thanks for watching. There's a few more videos online. Have a little look. Try a few things. See what works for you. See what don't work for you. And just be careful out there on the hills. Just take care. Thanks for watching. 73 Chris M0 RSF.